us a challenge for that. But yeah, with the gun, it was a very powerful piece about 4 kids who find a weapon and they all play around. And at first it's all play, and then it goes into quite serious. They're like, no, we should take the gun away. No, I want you to do this with the gun. And it gets quite serious quite quickly, and it doesn't have a very happy ending, as you can imagine. Yeah, but it was very theatre. It's not always sunshine and rainbows.
There's the second mask. There's, you know, see, it's not all this dude. Okay, there's a lot of him.
Yeah. And yeah, well, that was basically the gun.
There's a multi-award winning show, and there's been, like, obviously, we were talking earlier on, there's been a lot of them, which makes it fun now, because we're skipping a few more to go back to quite early on at this point. We're down to like the last 4, the first 4 things that you did, which at this point, for those final, or at least one of those, our situations were reversed. I was thinking you were a student, and it goes back to
Kyle used to be my teacher. Just let that ring out a little more. Kyle used to be my teacher.
Yeah, thanks. I feel old already. Shut up.
Kyle used to be my teacher. Yeah. That's how I first met Kyle, was through YTs. I've known him since the moment I began.
Yep. So it's all my fault.
I won't tell you what year that was. Mainly for the sake of Kyle.
Yeah. So we'll go back to the fourth thing that you'd done in terms of theatre. So we'll go back to Robin Hood. So your first main house production.
First big show.
And a theatre restaurant?
It was a theatre restaurant indeed. It was, I remember it was 2009. Yeah, it was that long ago now. And I'd done YTs for a year, and there was a couple of the YTs were going around saying, "Oh, there's this show. They really want teenagers in it." And I had no idea what it was. I didn't even know that it was Robin Hood. I just heard there was a show being auditioned. I went, yeah, right. So I remember we went to one of the cast, one of the YTs guys, and had spaghetti before, because we were hardcore like that. And we went to the audition and realised it was Robin Hood. And I went, oh, cool. Man, being completely oblivious, I thought it was a drama. Until we started...
No.
Yeah, until we started doing the audition. I went, okay, no, it's not a drama. It's quite a theatre... And then they explained what a theatre restaurant was to me, and I'll give a brief thing, which is... it is theatre, but in the intermission you would get food that's normally served by the cast members and that. And it's basically... The show itself is basically... It involves the audience a lot. It is...
Lots of participation, audience being served meals from the cars, they stop at random intervals, they often break the fourth wall, come down and start talking to you, or sit with you, or...
And they're a lot of fun.
Tip things on your head, or...
Yeah. And they're a lot of fun, those, and that one was a great experience for me, because I did multiple roles in it, and I got to meet people that I'm still...
A lot of people in Robin the Hood are people that you eventually went on to work with, or...
Jim.
Jim.
You know. Jim, that's where I first met Jim, and that was a while back ago now. You know, and yeah, it's crazy, and it was a lot of fun, and I realised that, Orpheus? I don't know which one, but one of them were actually doing it right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was like, I only just saw it the other day, and I was like, ooh, and then I realised it already passed, and I'm like,
there you go, bro. We couldn't give you a heads up on that one.
Yeah, unfortunately. I just read it and was like, I could go watch the figure, but then I was like, oh no.
You would have been able to see what it was like from the other side.
I would have.
You missed it.
I would have, yeah. Yeah.
We've got, before treading the boards on the big boy stage.
The big boy stage,
The big boy stage.
Yep.
As it's often referred to.
Yeah. That's what I call it all the time.
The big boy stage. there's still more things to do with YTs while you were still...
While I was still young, dumb, and full of cum.
It implies that there's now a shortage. Well, no,
you could
a
interpret
girlfriend now. That's her fault.
You can interpret it however you want, but that's how I'm going to phrase that.
Fair enough.
Happily, in my Point Break reference, I am now done.
Okay. Alrighty. Hang on, this table's sticky.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Before Robin Hood, and coincidentally, the third thing you did was also one of the last things that this director did with that subgroup. So the group that is now called YTs, which stands for Young Theatricals, was in the past
and always will be in my mind.
Used to be run by a friend of ours, the director we're working with at the moment, and she used her company's name to associate it. So it was called Crossfire at that point in time. So
and like I said, it will always be Crossbite.
It's what we know.
It's what
and now we're still in it. We're in Crossfire again after like, you know,
who knew?
13 years.
Who knew? Who knew?
We didn't.
Yeah.
So her final production with Crossfire, or in charge of that youth group, and working with myself as director and with Tony as a director as well, was Metamorphosis.
This is a friggin' fantastic play.
Which is, it was very big for...
And
the
also,
young cast.
it was also very scary for me, because as I mentioned at the very bottom, if Carl would like to read the very bottom under 1.
Before that, lots of stand-up.
I used to do a lot of comedy. Like in high school and that, my lunch breaks used to consist of stand-up. I remember I used to have a skit about lining up a tuck shop. You know,
the hilarity!
Yeah, you know, it was, and I used to like make people laugh, and you know, when I was in high school, I was putting comedy roles, and that's how I got into acting, because my drama teacher at that point was like, you know how to do comedy, maybe you should do acting. And I was like, that's two different things, right? Yeah, pretty much. So, anyway, I went and joined YTs, and the first show I did with there was, you know, it was a serious piece, but I had comedic parts with it. And this one was quite different. And the thing about Suzanne is she's able to pick out things about someone, and she's able to go, I have faith in you doing this that you've never done before.
She likes to drop things on you, like, you can do this, and you're doing it now.
Yeah. So that was...
But I can't. Yes, you can.
This was Metamorphosis. So Metamorphosis, you know, they were like, oh, we're going to give, like, you guys are going to do a mini audition, but basically we're going to pick out the roles for you. And we're like, okay, fair enough. And I remember I got 3 roles. I got Hades, which was self-explanatory. I got... I can't remember the son of the god of drunk. I can't remember what his name was, but he was pissed. And
Dionysus' son.
Yeah, that's it. And I fell into the pool every night, because we had a little pool out the front of the stage, and I would get drunk and fall into it, and you know, it was my 15 minutes of comedy fame. And then I had I can't remember that character's name too, but he was the son of the sun, basically. And the interesting part of that was it was a monologue that was 2 pages long. B, went through all different types of emotions. Now at that point, I'd only done comedy. So when I was reading this, I'm like, how do I make that funny? And Suzanne's like, you don't.
And I make everybody cry.
Yeah, it was pretty much, I made everyone laugh at the beginning, I made everyone angry in the middle, and I made everyone cry at the end. And it was like, well, this is going to be interesting. And I remember we were running through that a fair few times, and I got to relax in one of those little float chair things in the pool and doing my monologue, and then I hopped up and then I was kicking the water around when I got angry, and then I sat and cried. And I remember that I was like, I wasn't sure on it before the first performance, and then I remember my mum came to it and she cried when I cried, and I was like, yep, I did my job. And I was like, yep, I did it. And that was the last thing I did for that play. So I was like, I made everyone cry, I'm out!
I mean, and when I did that, like that in itself is really poignant. I mean, the third thing you'd ever done. I mean, first thing being like Herb Zerber's directed by Suzanne. So she's the first person you've worked with. She's the person you're working with most currently. Like the third thing in that you'd done with theatre and performance was a drama. This thing that you had no experience with, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to work backwards, was to go all the way back to how it felt when you at the start. Going back to Metamorphosis, where it was so full on. So
it was.
There was so much stuff going on, and so many things that you had to do, and so many things that
and so much underlying emotion.
Feel and feel and emote. And then you fast forward to 2015, where two shows, two completely different characters in the one circuit. You've got we had like 3-4 months for Mediocrity, and 5-6 weeks you've had for
Love Dilemmas,
and
it's been fun.
So two plays at the same time, trying to build two separate characters, portray two separate characters at the same time, who are all going through various different things. Like, they're going through all of these things.
And
Metamorphosis.
You're basically right. Yeah, it was. That was the first one where I was like, I'm playing multiple roles that are different. Because with Hades, it was all. I looked out and I spoke like this, and I was very menacing, and with the drunk one, I was like,
That was pretty much it.
Pretty much.
Understood his lines.
Yeah, pretty much.
We had the script and we didn't understand what was going on.
It's like, there's the ocean on the other side of the ocean. That's all I remember. I always used to point at the water and be like, ocean! And that's all I remember.
So, across the span and the length and breadth of all of this, there's been moments where you've done things that you have done before without realising them. The jumping between characters, or jumping between various emotional states, or jumping between comedy and drama, and doing both in a year, or doing both at the same time, or all this sort of stuff. Flicking all the way forward through it. It's fleshed out, and you've done a lot of things. You've played the good guy, the bad guy, the straight guy, the funny guy, the quirky, interesting guy that you really feel for, the annoying guy that you just wish would shut up,
I do that well.
the guy you just sit there smacking your head on the desk because he's making so many dumb decisions, and you just wish he would listen to you because you know what's best for him.
I play that one too.
All of these different roles, and all of these are ones that you got involved in because either they interested you, or they captivated you, or it was what was happening in a group that had captivated you, or enticed you, or involved you. So, I mean, all this, and that, that's the span of a couple of years, and with many other things on the cards, which don't tell them because it's a secret. They'll have to keep watching.
And spoilers.
Yeah. Every song we all sort of like, shh.
That's Doctor Who reference for anyone that doesn't know.
If you don't know, get off YouTube. Now. Go.
You heard the man.
Go. You can stay. But having done all of these things, having gone from that level of, is it any less scary?
No. Not for me. I still feel it when I do something else. I'm like, oh God, will this work? Oh God, will I get this right? Will, you're always going to feel like that. And I think you should. I think there should always be a bit of fear in your performance in that, because it keeps you on edge. It keeps you, especially with live theatre, you can't do a retake when you're on there. You've got to, basically if something goes wrong, you've got to figure out how to fix it. And it's, it always has an element of fear, but it also has that element of excitement, and that element of, getting to work with new people, getting to work with old people, getting to work with people. it's always fun, you know? I always am interested in creativity of many different people and many different things, and that's why I really enjoy this so much, is that I love creating, and I've always loved creating, I guess, from a very long time ago, and I think that I like being around people who have that same sort of love for creating. And when it comes down to it, there's nothing better than theatre for creativity. And I'm very happy and excited and thrilled to have done so much in such a short span. Because, you know, even when I was looking at it, I was like, shit, have I really done that much? Alright then.
It gets away from you.
Yeah, it's like, I can't believe that was around the same time. Alright, and it's been crazy. And I'm very lucky in that sense as well of what I have actually done. You know, it could have easily been,
That's the technical term.
Yeah, which could have been like, I didn't really want to do it. But, you know, I stuck with it, and I've been very happy ever since I decided to stick with it. And, well, you know, the last 7 years have been quite a thrill, really.
So, before I officially hand over your own chair to you, so you can host your own damn show.
Make it sound all official.
Yeah. Well, yeah, nice passing of the chair. For people
Not the broken one, though.
Not the broken one, no.
My ass feels better, Mum.
I had an ass. His ass feels better, YouTube.
I thought everybody should know my own pathetic cries of pain.
Love me!
Yeah. Don't go, I'm needy.
For people who want to explore theatre, for people who... And there are people out there, this is exactly what we were like, people who have this thing, they do silly voices, they recite TV commercials, they walk around the house like a complete idiot, doing strange walks, or invent people, have so many imaginary friends that they should basically have their own house to stick them in. There's whole families of them at a time. Well,
my auntie said it best when I was young. There's home video footage when I was 3 years old. She went, that boy's going to be an actor. And I was like, well, look where we are now. You're right, Auntie. Exactly. You were right.
You know, some people are just born to do this. So for those people, the people who who should be doing this, who either or haven't realised yet but would like to try, or even if you don't sit at home making up silly voices and you just want to give this a go, what would you say to those people, to YouTube itself, people out there who want to do this? Where do you start? What do you do?
I believe that you start by finding out what's in your local area. Like, if you are in the Ipswich area, finding out the different groups. You know, contacting them and being like, hey, so what do you guys do? Getting a better knowledge of what each group does, so you more or less know what you want to do. If you want to go more down musical theatre avenues, you go more Orpheus or IMTC, you know. If you want to do more theatre, you would go down, you'd have the choice of ILT, that production, Fractal, you know, you've got multiple ones, but it's more or less just finding out what you want to do to start off with. I also would say just go for it. Like, deep down, like, if you know that you've got this thing and you really want to, just do it. There's no other better way than actually knowing. I mean, it's scary, and there's always going to be that fear of the unknown, of like what is going to happen, but you're not going to know until you do it. And you know, I really recommend new people going to it, and I'm always a big person about trying to get people to do stuff. I always, when I am looking at, you know, even now, while I'm not directing something, I'm thinking about like, would this person work best in, you know? that's just how I work. Is I just go, oh, I'd like to see this person do this. And, I'm always about creating opportunities, and it could be the same with you. You know, if you've got a show you want to direct, if you've got a thing you want to write, if you've got a you want to work backstage, whatnot, you go for it. It's not like many theatres are going to be like, no, sorry, but we're just not looking for actors. Sorry. Yeah, they'd be kind of fools if they did that. And it's not necessarily community theatre. They're always trying to grab people as much as they can. So by all means, go out there and do it. You never know what you can accomplish. It's quite surprising what you can do, and just that's exactly it. When I started, I didn't think I was going to be writing plays and touring around and directing and all those things that when I first started, looked at and went, oh God, that's just too much. I never thought I'd be actually in the position where I'm actually doing it. And I'm here now, and part of me is quite
You've done it.
Yeah, part of me is quite shocked, and part of me is kind of like, okay, but there's still more to do. So, and that's another thing, is always make unreachable goals. Well, what you think's unreachable. Because when you reach them, and you go, okay, what's next? And that's...
Yeah, keep raising your bar.
Yeah, raise the bar. Like, I've raised my own bar now, because I've done pretty much a lot of stuff that I want to do, to ridiculous levels. But they're still, like, I still could reach them at some point. So I'm still going to try and do that. So, yeah, set goals for yourself. Just do it.
There you go.
You know.
Just do it. Ladies and gentlemen, since he is the official host, I'm going to switch you across to Aaron. So, anything else that he wants to add about the podcast in and of itself, or how it's going to function, or anything that I might have missed out, because, I don't know, I just work here. He can mention to you, let you know if he's got anything planned coming up, and just generally give you guys a bit more information about it. But for my part, I hope you've enjoyed listening to us waffle.
Yeah, and spill beer and break chairs.
Yeah, spill beer and break chairs and soak paper and,
Yeast infection, don't think about it.
Let's do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, if he wants to switch chairs, he can.
You know what?
Yeah.
Well, I'll switch chairs so I get in my position where I normally will be. And good night.